So, my official copy hasn't come from Amazon yet, so my dog-eared copy is with me tonight of this delightful, wonderful, important, impressive, compelling, and must-read book. I get to be very short at this podium right now. Today is the publication date, the actual publication date of Diane's book. And I get to introduce Dr. Ravitch to all of you. Now, you're saying, what is the New Yorker doing in Philadelphia introducing Dr. Ravitch? But as you know, once you get arrested in a town, you are of the town. So, and I notice there's no cops with handcuffs today. So, you know, I would normally do, as I'm on my tippy toes, I would normally tell you how many books Diane has written, 10, how many distinguished roles she's had, serving more presidents than I can actually recite, how long we've known each other, over 2 decades, she won't let me tell you anything more, how we are both addicted to Twitter, she has many, many more followers than I do, but you can read all of that in Wikipedia. I think about Diane differently. I think about Diane the way the kids that I taught in Brooklyn used to hold me to, the standards they used to hold me to. And what they would say to me often, after they trusted me, was, Ms. Weingarten, you have to walk your walk, not just talk the talk. And Diane walks the walk every single day. She is a fierce advocate for our democracy, for our just society, for our children, for those who work with children, and for our public schools and the roles that those schools have in our society. You all know she is a highly respected educator and historian, but she has become a beloved, and when I say beloved, I mean a beloved activist and leader. And here's why. Diane is as brilliant as she is compassionate. Those who know her would say she is as compassionate as she is brilliant. And about a decade ago, we both watched Mayor Bloomberg in New York City take this concept of accountability and distort it in such an anti-democratic and anti-children way that she started her own journey of thinking about what was going on in terms of education. She looked at the reforms that were going on at that point, the ones that were gussied up as choice and competition, and she saw that they didn't work. And she spoke truth to power in a way that nobody else could. But what she's done now is even more impressive and more important. Because with this new book, Diane doesn't simply pull back the curtain on jargon or on privatization or profitization or test obsession or austerity mongers. What she does is she talks with great truth about what is working and what isn't working, with a clarity and a consistency that lacks jargon, that lacks pomposity, that in its simplicity is so compelling that it's hard to walk away from it. And I'm so delighted that she's doing this in Philly on the first day that this book comes out because of what you all have gone through in Philly. With the austerity, with the way in which schools have opened this week, without art, without music, without libraries, without nurses, without counselors, kids sitting on the floor because there's not enough desks, classes swollen to 60 kids, multiple grades sharing the same classrooms. What Diane has done for us is she has created a context about why the things that have happened in the last few years are wrong and what we need to actually ensure we reclaim the promise and the potential of public education, and with that, our democracy, and with that, our society. So it is my great honor and privilege to introduce to you Dr. Diane Ravitch.
Thank you so much, Randy. I can't think of anyone that I would rather have introduce me. Not working? I'm not speaking loud enough, sorry. So I wanted to thank Randy because she came here specifically to introduce me, and I am very grateful to her. I'm grateful to her for her friendship, for her leadership, for the courage that she shows in standing up for teachers. And I'm very happy to be at the Philadelphia Free Library, particularly because today is the day that my book is published, and I can't tell you what that means to an author to be on publication date. And as I was sitting in the room back there, which I guess is called the green room, I looked on Amazon and I just discovered that my book is number 105 on the first day. And I know from years of looking at Amazon that a lot of the books ahead of it are cookbooks. It's the #1 ranked book in public policy on Amazon.com, and it just came out today. So I'm really excited and pumped. I'm also excited to be here in Philadelphia. You are ground zero. The state of Pennsylvania is the ground zero for the destruction and privatization of public education. When I hear the stories, and I want to gather them because I want to write about them, of schools without guidance counselors, schools without social workers, schools where the libraries have been closed, and then you say, why aren't the children learning? They're missing something. Most parents wouldn't stand for this. Why do we permit it to happen? Well, before I go into my talk about the book, I want to mention to you that last spring I hope to start an organization to help fight back. It's an organization that will be a PAC to fight for public education. We won't raise much money, but what we'll do is hand out a good housekeeping seal of approval to those candidates in school board races that are actually fighting for public education, because there's so many of what we call astroturf groups that are misnamed and where no one knows who really is for public education. So we're a group of parents, parent activists, teachers, scholars, and the group is called the Network for Public Education. And we will be endorsing candidates. We already have endorsed a few. In fact, we just had a winning slate in Bridgeport, Connecticut the other day that's probably going to fire. The new board, which is the Working Families Party group, is probably going to be firing your old Superintendent Paul Vallis. So I'm going to ask you, I know your cell phones are turned off, but I'm going to ask you, if you're interested and if you have the possibility of making this note, that you should text 4, I don't know how to do this sort of thing, but I'm telling you. You text 4 NPE, and the number you put in is 888-777, and you will get alerts about your schools in Pennsylvania and specifically in Philadelphia, because we follow schools across the country. Now, I'll say it again. The text is 4, the number 4, NPE, and then you put in the little box where you write something, 888-777. I hope that's correct. Now, what I want to do is tell you how my book starts. It starts with a couple of quotations that kind of summarize what I'm about and what the book's about. First of all, what I consider to be the most famous lines of John Dewey's,